Danny Fleming of MA Properties, and we're here to do a Have You Met with Sheri McGondel. She's our closing manager. So, Sheri, tell us how long you've been with MA Properties.
I've been here almost 7 years. It'll be 7 years in the fall. Yeah, it's a long time.
How did that happen?
I don't know. It's gone by fast, though.
It has, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
it
It
has.
really has. Now, you're the closing manager in the team. What is that? What does that involve?
So for me, I take a sale or buy from the signing of the P&S all the way to close, and I make sure for listings that we have the smoke inspections and the utility bills paid, and just kind of make sure to send reminders of forwarding your address and, just things that are going to happen in the process.
And generally helping, because where have you just come from now?
Yep, I just came from a house that's going to be on the market, and the seller needs some help coordinating some maintenance done for the house. So
because they're out of state.
Because they're out of state,
and Sheri's on it.
Yep.
You were there at 5:30 last night.
Yeah.
You were there again at 11 o'clock this morning, and you're going back there.
I will be back there, and
And that's the beauty of it, because you work with contractors as well. I mean, for instance, with closing a house, what's one of the things that you need to get organized is the smoke inspection.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, you've got someone that...
I do. I have a guy. I have a gentleman who's been helping me for a few years now.
Yeah.
And, I send out the guidelines of what's required to pass a smoke inspection. And if the homeowner is not sure if it's going to pass, I call in my guy. He goes in and he'll check to make sure that the detectors are within the appropriate age range and that they're in the right locations, just to ensure that the house is going to pass.
Yeah,
So.
and then and it's funny, isn't it? Because as an agent, when I first started, I used to think, okay, smokes, good, yep, it's going to be straightforward. Oh my goodness, no.
No, that's the trickiest part, I think, of all the processes going into closing. I think the smoke is usually the most stressful, for the simple fact that you want it to pass, and if it doesn't, then it's like, do we need an electrician? Can we just replace the detectors? So
Is what you do on a day-to-day basis the same, or is it different?
it's different every day, and even though like the procedure is the same, I have to make sure I get the smoke done, the water, the documents all in order. It's different for every house.
Yeah,
it is, because I just don't know what I'm walking into, and
Well, one of the things that I love is that I'm always getting feedback from sellers or buyers sort of saying, oh, wow, Sheri's just wonderful. Oh, wow. She's, because I think at that time, the stress is off them a little bit, because, they've either purchased a house and they're just going to closing, or they've sold their home and they're just going to closing, and it's just, okay. But the way you email folks and the way you contact folks, they just...
Sometimes I feel like I give too much information, because my email, my first one gets really long, but I always start off by saying, this is a lot of information. Most of it's already done. I'm just giving you an overview of the process.
Yeah.
So.
And that's really good, because, part of our team, our groups, core values is education, not sales. Mm-hmm. So even though we're not hard selling, this is a different instance, but you're educating folks about what is going on. It's not just, I'll be there at 4.
Yeah, because you know what, I find that if you don't explain to it, then they're questioning, like, well, is there something wrong or whatever? And it's like, no, everything's fine. This is how the process works.
Yep.
There's going to be a few steps, and we're going to take care of them.
So what is the most fun part of your day-to-day activities?
I think talking to people. I like people. I like, I will say, just the interaction, and sometimes they catch me so off guard. Just a couple weeks ago, I stopped at a house to get a water read and pick up a check. And I ended up, this is the first time really that I had a face-to-face conversation with the seller. And 10 minutes later, I left the house, my son was in the car, And I had this grin on my face, and he looked at me, he's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I just had the best conversation. I said, and I feel like I have known this woman my entire life.
Oh.
And it was just one of those things, we just had the nicest conversation. And I left the house feeling so great. So I love that part of it.
Is the process of closing a home the same for every home?
No.
Or the same for every town?
No. And actually, it's very different. What I do is very different on a listing and on a buy.
Yep.
On a buy, I'm a lot more hands off. But I always make sure I check in, and then I always find out as much information about the town as I can. Let the buyers know that their water is already, is automatically going to be transferred.
Yep.
I tell them when their trash day is,
Yep.
if there's no trash collection, where the transfer station is, and I try and give that kind of information because when you're buying a new house, I mean, you've got a lot to worry about, and these are things you're going to overlook.
Yeah.
And then, with the listing, there's more steps involved, but every house is different, every town is different, and that's kind of, as we've gotten bigger and we've expanded to other towns, I'm always like, oh, I've got to figure out how to do this now.
What part do you like most about your day-to-day activities? What apart from, I know you mentioned seeing sellers, but there would be some days that you don't get to see sellers.
No, I like the people aspect of it, but sometimes I like being able to just sit quietly in my office and just get stuff done.
It's process and it's systems and just.
I have my
ticking
routine. I
things
have, my binder with all of our listings and buys, and I go through each one every day. Okay, what I have to do, and I have. My husband would make fun of me for it, but.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
So tell us, now that we're talking about Jamie, tell us a little bit more about who you are.
Well, I'm married. I have 3 kids. Been married for 22 years now.
And 3 kids? Yeah.
3 kids,
3
yep.
kids, 3 boys.
I have 3 boys.
Yep.
My oldest is 20, then it's 17 and 16. So there's a lot of chaos in my house. And 2 dogs, because,
Yeah, you gotta have 2 dogs,
Yeah, so I'm definitely outnumbered.
Yeah, there's no other women at home, is there?
No, I'm outnumbered. But I love it. They're easy. Boys are great. They're loud. They're obnoxious, but they're mine. So.
And you went through a renovation.
We did.
An expansion of your home, didn't you?
Yep, in 2019 we.
Just in time for COVID happening.
Yep. Yeah, which was great because then my husband, the room that was going to be my office in the house became his office. And I got moved up to my bedroom, which is fine because it's the prettiest room in the house, if you ask me. So, yeah, 2019, we had a 2-bedroom ranch, and I had 3 teenage boys, so we needed to get bigger.
What perfect timing,
yeah,
because your house was finished by the time COVID.
It did, yeah. Yep.
Tell us of an experience that was a really positive one.
For work?
Yeah. Or actually both.
Well,
Let's
for work.
throw in both.
For work, like I said,
the one.
I left a house. Literally, my day had completely changed, and it was going to be a busy day. And I left with a smile on my face, and it was just like, that was just. It was a short conversation, but like I said, it was.
Sometimes.
And it was a mom that had 2 boys, and it was just.
I know who it is.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I know who it is.
She just was such a lovely person, and I was like, oh my gosh, like you just made my day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think that's important because it's important to sort of, for us to remember, is that we work with a lot of really, really nice people.
We do, yeah.
It's very rare that we work with someone that you think, I've just got to get to closing. I've just got to get to closing. That's really rare.
It is.
But,
and then even with them, it's like, you know what? I'm just going to be as nice as I can. I'm going to do everything that I would do for anybody else. I'm going to do the same for you. And you know what? At the end of the day,
I've done
what I can.
The right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's exactly right. What about the non-work one? Positive experience.
I don't know. I would actually, a big positive in my life is my boys playing hockey.
Yeah.
They played hockey from when they were really little. They don't play anymore. But the people that I met with them playing hockey, the hockey families and stuff, I mean, when my oldest, who's 20, he started playing when he was 5, I'm still friends with those parents. And it's such a community, and, that to me is the biggest plus in anything, is just.
And you're a people person, so that's given you an enforced opportunity to connect with people because you're sitting in the stands and at practice and at the games and all of that sort of stuff.
And with 3 of them, there was a lot of families.
And at one point in time, you were in a bowling league.
I was, yes.
I
Susan
remember
and
that.
I. Yeah. It was interesting because Susan and I were the youngest 2, and these women.
And Susan, we'll just let people know, Susan's our listing manager. Yep.
Yeah. One day we were sitting in the office. It was the 2 of us, and we were like, we need to do something. And we both decided we were going to join a bowling league. And so we did. And it was duck pin bowling, which is like a small ball but big pins.
Yep.
And it was a small bowling alley in Billerica, which was like run down, but it was the most fun every Monday night. And I mean, and some of the women that I bowled with were my friends, or were my son's grandmothers.
Oh.
And I knew them from school events and stuff. I'm like, this is great. So yeah, we did that for a couple of years.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Billerica.
Okay.
We moved into the house that I grew up in when I was 4 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And
that's the one that you expanded?
Nope.
Okay.
So I grew up there. My husband and I bought a house. Then we moved back to the house I grew up in for a while, and then we expanded our house and we moved back into that house. But I've lived in Billerica my entire life. And it was funny when my husband and I got married, and we were looking in other towns, and I told him, we can absolutely look in other towns, but we're going to buy in Billerica. And we did.
Did he have much choice in this? It doesn't sound like it.
No. I love Billerica. It's such a great town. Like, for me, it was such a great town.
Yeah.
And, and for my boys, it's been a great town too.
And when you've got positive experiences with the place that you grew up with, you know that you have some comfort in understanding that your children will also have those same good experiences. So that's...
Well, I find it funny that my youngest son works at the grocery store that I worked at, and I'm like, it's just, I passed it down. They all go to the high school I went to, because there's 2 high schools in Billerica. There's Shashi and Tech, and then there's the high school, and I went to the Tech. So all 3 of my boys went to the Tech.
And they weren't influenced at all, were they?
A little bit.
No.
A little bit.
At least you're honest.
All right, a lot.
So what would you like your future to encompass? What do you sort of see happening in the next 5-10 years?
Well, hopefully I'm still here.
Well, that's a given if you want to stay. Yeah.
I don't know. More, I mean, I love what I do.
Yeah.
And, I've had other jobs, and this is probably, I was a school bus driver. I did like that.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And when we occasionally, the drivers of our staging truck, I remember a few times where I've gone to Home Goods or something like this, and we don't want to tell Marcus that I'm at Home Goods, and I've gone for just one thing or so, and then I've come out with
a truckload.
And Sheri, can you bring the truck and come and pick up a stuff? Yeah, we don't want to tell Marcus. Yes. Yep, that was pretty good. Yeah. So, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so, I've had jobs that I've liked, but this, I just love everything about this job. I've got a lot of freedom. You guys give me a ton of freedom. And, I like working with people, so hopefully I'm still doing that, traveling a little more, and watching all of my kids graduate either from college or high school.
That's awesome. It really, I think it's, we were talking, Marcus and I were talking about this earlier. The fact that we have such really strong support folks in the team makes it so much easier for the agents. When I say easier, it means that the agents can focus on the clients, because you've got those things. You've got the processes down. we don't even have to think about it. We're included in all of the information, so we know what's going on, but we don't have to worry about what's going on.
But on the other side of that, being in the support role, when, you know, I'm asking another agent for something and things are just not getting done, it doesn't take, you know, 5 seconds. I call our agent that's on, you know, on the transaction, and I say, look, I need some help. And right now it gets taken care of. So,
Right.
you know, they're supporting us as well, you know.
Right.
And it works well. I like that.
Yeah, because you're right. Part of collecting all the closing documents, you've got to get things from the other agent on the other side who
Yeah.
doesn't work in our team, in our brokerage. And sometimes, well, yeah, and this is why we're so grateful that you're there, because when those agents need something from us, you're on it. It's there 30 minutes after
Yeah.
they've requested
We
it.
try. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really, really good. So no. Well, thank you. Really appreciate you sitting down and talking with us. I know you didn't want to do this,
I didn't.
but I think it's wonderful and to learn a little bit more about you. So thank you for sitting with us, Sheri.
Thank you for having me.